Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Devin Sears, and I'm joined by my friend and colleague, Chance Keltner, and we are here talking about choosing the right choosing the right hosting for your agency project. Anyone that has ran an agency knows that choosing the right hosting can make or break your client's experience and can also make or break your experience as you're building their website. So today we're going to dive into that a little bit, but before we do, there's a few housekeeping items we need to cover. Number one, as I mentioned, we're joined by Chance Keltner. He's one of our account executives here on our agency team. So he spends most of his days talking with agencies and trying to make sure that we're getting them the right hosting packages so that they can be successful, so that their customers can be successful, and so that they can scale their business without having to stress about what hosting is happening behind the scenes. As usual, I am your co-host, Devin Sears. I'm the Senior Field Marketing Manager here at Bluehost, and I'm thrilled to have you join us here today. A few other things before we jump into the content. Number one, if you can hear us, find the chat box and let us know where you're tuning in from. That lets us know, first, that our audio is transmitting. Second, it lets us know that you found the chat box. And third, we love hearing where our attendees are joining us from across the globe. So take a moment and find that. Next to that, you will also see a Q&A tab. So if you have any questions throughout this, we encourage you to ask them. We want these to be beneficial and helpful and educational for you the attendee. So please don't hesitate to ask any question. We will do our best to answer them. I will actually be off camera and off microphone trying my best to answer those questions that come in. If there are questions that I don't know the answer to or that I think will be beneficial for other people, we'll hold those for the end and we'll have a small Q&A section. So don't hesitate to ask the question. You can ask in the chat or on the Q&A tab. If the question seems a little bit more involved, I might move it to the Q&A tab just so that we can have a little bit of a back and forth and respond in that private message instead of in the public chat. So if you do ask a question in chat and it suddenly disappears, we're not trying to moderate or anything like that. We're just moving it to a little bit of a better location so we can get you your answer. If you have any issues throughout this, technical issues, the stream drops out or the audio drops out, go ahead and drop it in the chat and we'll see if it's for you or for everyone else. If it is just for you, then I suggest leaving the webinar, restarting your browser, and then rejoining the webinar. And hopefully that resolves the issue. And if not, we'll try to troubleshoot it with you and get you back in. If you're joining from a mobile device, you'll need to unmute the stream, and you should be able to do that by clicking anywhere on the screen. So please don't hesitate to do that. We'd love to have you join us. We want to make sure that you find today's webinar beneficial and educational. So please ask questions. Please don't hesitate to use the chat, and we're excited to have you with us. So jumping into some content. The quote of the webinar is, "The wrong hosting doesn't just slow sites, it slows your agency." And I'm sure most agencies have at one point or another experienced having to deal with inadequate or slow or unsecured hosting. And it derails your day, it derails your customer. It's just not a good experience for your customer, and that can have lasting impacts to your business. So we don't want that. And so that's one of the reasons we're talking about that today. So what are we going to be covering today? Number one, we're just going to start with some foundational definitions, what hosting means for agencies, how you use it, what that translates to for your customers. Then we're going to jump into 5 features that hosts offer that actually matter. We'll also cover matching hosting to project type to make sure that you are in alignment with your client and making sure that you can have your best margins for what you're charging your clients, and also that they're getting the best product for what they're paying. We're also going to go into workflow and tools for agencies, a couple of tips and tricks just to help things run a little bit more smoothly and a little bit more organized. And then we're also going to go into some red flags and some mistakes, basically best practices, errors that we've seen that we can help use someone else's mistake as your opportunity to move forward with success. And then finally, we will end with a decision framework just to kind of tie it all up. and then we'll move to the Q&A section. So as I mentioned previously, I'm actually going to be off camera and off mic answering questions. So please give me some questions to respond to. And Chance, please take it away, my friend.
All right, I appreciate that. So yeah, chapter one's really what hosting means to agencies. Just to give you a little bit background, I work with agencies of all sizes here as an agency executive. So we have people starting out as freelancers trying to work for that title as an agency, all the way from agencies with 2 clients all the way to thousands under their belt. So whatever we talk about here today will really apply for agencies of all sizes. Now, for the first thing we're going to start with is hosting is your foundation. It really isn't just a server here. It's the engine behind every site you build. And we're going to break that down. So everything rides on it, speed. We really live in a world where that first time to byte and how quickly someone can access your site really determines what's going to actually happen on there. So if say you just built that site for a client, right? And their first customer tries to go there and it's a friend or a family member, and they reach out and say, hey, took like 7 seconds to load. I have a goldfish attention span. I already moved on. And if it's not a family member or somebody you know, and if that's just a true client trying to purchase something from your site, you've just missed a sale. Reliability. Now, I have a client personally. They're a city, and their entire budget for the year depends on one event that happens in that city. It's an art and craft show. So they'll have a website that'll have barely any traffic for 364 days. But for one day, it absolutely blows up and they make their entire budget for the year. You're going to want that reliability to where that site's not going to go down and that client that really just needed you there on that one day isn't calling you upset. Security is a good example. Any site rampant with malware or maybe an SSL is not tied to it. Whenever somebody goes to look at their site that you just built them and it says this is not secure, please hit the advanced, at your own risk button, that doesn't really give you a sense of security, right? And then trust. I like to just say this is reputation. If you're having any of these issues or all of them at the same time, they're not going to be calling Bluehost or another provider for your hosting. They're going to be calling you and asking you what's wrong. So we really want to talk about hosting as your foundation and what's going to really secure that brand reputation for you. And the bread's in the butter right there. Good hosting is invisible. A bad hosting becomes a full-time job. I do have some more examples about that as we get further in the presentation, but yeah, you will definitely know if bad hosting is happening because you'll be spending way more time trying to save and retain clients than gaining new ones. So poor hosting equals bigger problems. Now, we're going to talk about how hosting can derail your workflow here. Client complains over a slow site. Say a client calls in and they're complaining about performance. Odds are, as an agency, you're going to put down whatever you were doing and try to fix that client so they can basically get that CSAT out of the way and focus on new clients or the current project you were working on. Downtime and errors. Once again, if a client calls in, their site's down, that's a all hands on deck situation. And that client could be anything, a mom and pop shop all the way up to, um, who knows, Ford or Ford dealership trying to sell cars. So constant troubleshooting, burnout, and billing gaps. I'll just give a live example here. So we brought on a client that had 3 large servers with about 1,000 clients. All those servers ended up becoming infected with malware, and so they spent their entire days trying to clean up that malware that was just always persistent. They could never clean it up. And then their weekly meetings became meetings about how do we save this client or how do we save these clients. And it also ended up being where they would, as many clients as they gained, is how much they would lose in a year. So once again, spending all of your time troubleshooting or trying to retain clients just gets in the way of workflow and it gets in the way of future business for you. And once again, we'll dive into that more. So what agencies really need, and while speed is important, we really need stability whenever it comes to a host. And like it says there, it's essential, but it really isn't enough. A big point here is priority support. How is your current support laid out? Is it just ticket and chat? Do you have phone? Is it 365, 24/7? Here, we do a little bit different. It's called priority support. So if you're an agency and you actually chat, call in, or send a ticket, you actually get put to the front of the line here, kind of like a flash pass at Six Flags. And the reason that we do that is because A, you're spending the most time on our platform, but B, if you call in, there's a chance that there's way more than one customer having an issue. You could be having an issue with 100 customers. We don't know. So that's why we put you to the front of the line to dig into that and give you a quicker mean time to resolution. Scalability for high traffic clients. The client I mentioned is a great example. Maybe they don't need the largest plan, the entire year, or maybe a 128 gigabyte or DDR5 RAM server because they have one promotional event in the entire year that has 2,000 concurrent users. So what's going to be a good scalable solution for that client, but also be something you can maybe scale down or grow in the future? Simple dashboards your team can manage quickly. How many tabs are you going to have having open whenever you're trying to work on something? Is your dashboard intuitive? If you start clicking through, say your hosting panel, does it lead back to your websites or staging? And once again, we'll talk about that more. So, chapter 2, 5 features that actually matter. The big 5 that really do make it or break it in hosting: speed. We all talk about it. We all want the fastest site. It's not really a talk about seconds anymore. It's really milliseconds. How quick can we get it down? Support 24/7 and help that actually solves the problem. Are you calling into support and hitting that line where this is out of scope, right? Scalability. Can it grow with your clients? We all want our clients to grow, no matter if it's a mom and pop shop or somebody starting their first e-commerce business or a thriving e-commerce business. We all expect and want that client to be able to grow and grow and grow. Along with our agencies, we want to be able to grow your platform as well. So do they have scalability? Security, daily backups are crucial. Do they have one-click restores? Can you go back to multiple times in a day or a week or a month? Malware protection, absolutely essential, and a secure socket layer. Is it free? Is it getting into your monthly margins if you're paying for it, etc. Simplicity, easy dashboard, staging sites, quick setup. How is that hosting partner working with your workflow? And is it really making the best use of your time and giving you that time to actually focus on things like getting new clients or maybe looking at a new revenue stream? Say, hey, we've been doing web development for 2 years. Let's look into SEO or maybe offer email. Once again, simplicity will help you be able to achieve that. So evaluating hosting side by side. Um, Here you could go to the site, you can compare plan details. That's a very good, easy way to approach it. Personally, benchmarking is an awesome tool right now through different speed tools. Set up a trial account here, use your current provider, see which one's really giving the best performance. With trial accounts, you could even test out support, or the workflow for support. How quickly are those tickets getting solved, or how long am I waiting on the phone? But also check out the backup tools there. Can you restore a backup quicker on this plan than you can on that one? Staging as well. So review support access. Kind of touched on that already. But live chat, ticket time, phone hours. Take everything you have, compare it to the other one, and see which one's going to be the best for you and your clients. Explore the dashboard. Is it clean, fast? Is it easy to manage? Does it feel like you're using an iPhone or does it feel like you're using an Android, right? Don't just check what's on the homepage. Yeah, dig into the help documents, control panel layouts, and support quality. Here, I know that we like to reference our knowledge base. It's really hard to find a question that we haven't already written an article for. It's very extensive. Yeah, encourage you to check it out. If you have a Bluehost account, it's in the right next to the help button where the question mark. You can toggle down. There's the knowledge base for you. All right, and use trial accounts or screenshots to evaluate real-world usability. Here with the agency partner program, when you sign up for that, you actually get a free cloud account. It's technically our enterprise fully managed WordPress solution. So yeah, we would love for you to sign up for the program, get that free account. You can use that for your benchmarking and your evaluating. So hosting features that matter to agencies. Staging and cloning. I know we've all heard this throughout the industry for a while now, but what we're trying to do is see how finally we can tune this machine of one-click staging. Here I know in our portal, it's connected to your site. The second you click it, it then creates the staging. It highlights that your current site is now in production. Um, and yeah, it's like I said, one click. So very, very intuitive and fast. I mean, it would help speed up your workflow. So how does that compare to other providers right now? Once again, having a demo account would help you compare that. Dashboard usability. Once again, how easy is it to click through? Say you need to go and clear your cache, or revert back to a backup, install your SSL, add a user to the account. That way they can only have tech access because you need assistance with development. How easy is it to click through and manage those things? And support quality. Even with our support, you can come in and you can get a full transcript of that situation. We have different tiers of support. We have WordPress specific support. We have people that specialize in VPS, dedicated, cPanel. So do you have that next quality of support that's going to be able to get specific with you? And user access management. Security is definitely on everybody's minds these days. And another step that we can take is making sure that when you add a user, it's specific to the role that they should have, whether that's admin, development, or tech. Another way to secure your workflow is making sure you're putting the right people on the job. Now, chapter 3, matching hosting to project type. So we'll take a little bit of time to really break this one down, but a rough example is, a visual kind of logic path here is what type of site is it? Is it a lead gen site? Is it a blog? Is it e-commerce? Is it a membership site? Is it a podcast? So what kind of content are these sites going to have, and how much interaction is it going to have whenever a client comes and looks at that site? The next, we can look at traffic levels. Anywhere from 10 to 5 or 5 to 10,000. As if we're familiar with our hosting provider, we'll know that this solution is the best fit. Now, here at Bluehost, you do have another tool in your belt there, which would be an account executive. You could always reach out to them, and they can help you scope out any server for whatever project you're working on. But roughly, we know the traffic level is about 100,000, right? The site type is it's a travel blogger, obviously a very popular one. And their feature needs, they can't have any downtime. So what would be the best solution for that client? Well, here at Bluehost, that would be cloud hosting, because we have 100% uptime. So that would mean that site's never going to go down for that travel blogger. So wherever they traveled and whatever they wrote all that content for, say it's going to be a huge event for them that day. They're able to release that and have no issues or worries about downtime, and be able to handle massive influx in traffic due to, say, PHP bursting like on our cloud. And feature limitations. Yeah, once again, not having any downtime, having the best security products on, whichever solution you choose. I know that an advanced WAF, advanced CDN, global edge caching, these are all things that are going to help this travel blogger stay up and live, right? But sometimes we have different clients. Say they come in and it's say a Windows-based a .NET solution. We know that that's not going to work on cPanel, right? There's not a lot of traffic. They just need a box to have this little site in their application that they built. So what are we going to do? We're going to find a Windows server. It doesn't need to be large. We know they only need 50 gigs of storage, and then we're able to offer that hosting solution to them. And once again, if you have a project or a client and you need to evaluate exactly what type of hosting they need to be on, we're absolutely here to help and talk through that with you. Chapter 4, Workflows, Tools for Agencies. Staging and cloning. Once again, you're going to hear that a lot in the industry. It's really what's separating a lot of providers, but also what's helping agencies really speed up their workflow. So with our staging and our cloning, not only are you allowed to do the one-click staging, we have some agencies that really like to have a clean workflow. We like the foundation of this certain website. Say it's just for a landing page. We like to specialize in landing pages, right? So they all come in, and it's whether it's a plumber or a bakery, etc. We know this template, these plugins, and this foundation works for us. So why not be able to just clone that each time you get a new client edit it to where it matches that client site that client's vision. And then you can just keep doing that because you know your workflow works. You like those plugins, you like that theme, and now you're able to generate more sites quickly. And once again, focus on gaining more clients. And that's one way to use the cloning feature here and staging. And the more clients you get as well, we also have a search function. So say you have a couple of templates you like for e-commerce or a blog, you're able to search, find that site very quickly, and go right into cloning that and starting to work from scratch. So, or not having to work from scratch. Security and backups. So built-in protection, no extra tools. I'll tell you what, saving a lot of time if there's a one-click restore on a backup, especially if you don't have to reach out to support for said backup. Some places are like that. You have to call, you have to ask for a backup for 2 weeks ago, and hopefully they have it. With certain solutions or providers, you don't have that. You have a one-click restore, and it's already in your portal. You can go right to the source, grab the backup where, say you tried to update PHP and it did not work for you. You know exactly where to go. But my recommendation would be to use a staging environment next time. Um, and then, yeah, security. There's a plethora of security tools out there. Personally, we use Let's Encrypt for our SSL. We like to leverage SiteLock for our additional security features. But what are you able to do to secure that client? Is it available on that platform? Multi-site dashboard, all sites in one view. For example, here, everything, when you go to your hosting tab, every single site, well, it only shows 10, but then it has different pages. But our search function lets you find any site you're looking for pretty much instantly. All you have to do is type it in. But also, what's in there? You can click on that site. Once again, go to backups. You can go to staging. You can go to your SSL, users, performance metrics, logs. So how can you manage all of those sites in a very easy way in a dashboard? User access control. Once again, who's accessing what site? Who's accessing the account? Make sure that we give you the power to make sure you're giving exactly who you want access to that. So, all right. So yeah, after talking about those features, let's go ahead and look at what that would look like on our platform here. So I'm going to share my screen and show you a one of our cloud accounts. Here on the left, we really have everything pretty much set out in a very easy to read platform there. Just going down with that menu, it's home, websites, email and office, domains, hosting, and security. But we're going to focus on the hosting tab today. And I wanted to show you how all the tools that we just mentioned are really easy to access and very intuitive, right? So here we do have a cloud plan. Briefly shows you how many sites that you've used, how many PHP workers you've assigned, and storage space that's been allocated. Now this isn't a storage that's been used; it's just been allocated for what you've given to that site instance. Now, if you'd like more information on that, obviously we could talk about it. But today we're going to talk about how easy it is for the workflow here. So once again, I was at hosting. I'm going to one of these websites, and I'm clicking manage. So what does it look like to manage a client site? Instantly, you have an overview. Would you like to start a malware scan? We talked about backups, latest backups, able to click that and go to that one-click restore for you. View the plugins that are on the back of your website, themes, all right there once again. Here, we'll see that this says red and malware. So what that means is if this is red or whited out with the red lettering, that means there is malware present. For this example account, they have 4 plugins that are outdated. And yeah, they need to update those plugins or find new ones to get rid of that malicious threat. It shows that your site is secure, referencing your SSL and online. So you're getting all that information by just looking at the overview portion here. Now, click use of access here. So domains, if it's very quickly, you can add a domain right there. And then you can go into your DNS settings or set a site URL right there as well. So just one click there. For backups, this is where you would go to access that backup. You just launch Jetpack. It takes you into the WP admin. And then you're able to sift through whichever backup you'd like to one-click restore. For performance, clear cache by the click of a button. You can always add more PHP workers if you feel like the site needs it. You can also look at performance metrics down here. You have access to your error logs, your access logs. Right next to that is your database for phpMyAdmin, SSH access right there. And here you can see exactly which user is accessing this account. We know it's just a support admin. We know that email address. We verified they're allowed to be there and they're an administrator. You can click on here if you need to edit that or reset your password as well. Staging, once again, one-click staging there. So we've already created a staging environment here, but once right here is a one-click promote button. So it'd be the same thing with adding a staging environment as well. Now you can click manage, you can delete the site, all that by the click of a button. And then the last one, we have our settings. So you can change your WordPress version here. You can change your PHP version. We have the big red button. You can delete the website if that's what if you see fit. And then you can go directly into WP admin and start working on your site. So the point of this to show you that was how quickly we can go through all these different facets of a website, whether it's a backup or staging or SSL or clearing cache or deleting a site or adding a domain. We were able to click through that and find that all within maybe a couple of minutes. And that's the whole point of that there. How easy is it to manage multiple sites on your platform from one hub? All right, we'll go back to our slides here and we'll go to chapter 5. Chapter 5, red flags and costly mistakes. So don't let these kill your timeline. Hidden terms. Watch for limits on bandwidth, auto renewals, or surprise fees. Is your current solution, does it have a function to turn off your auto renewal? Is that something they expect you to call in or talk about? Are you able to toggle auto renewals through your different products and services? Maybe you have multiple hosting solutions for your clients on our platform. Are you able to, maybe a client is going to leave at the end of the year. Are you able to toggle off that specific client if they're on their own plan? Same thing with domains or an email subscription. Those hidden renewal fees or those hidden renewal timeframes, they can really come at a random times if you're not prepared for it, and really mess up your monthly margin. And also with the surprise fees and bandwidth. Is there small writing that's saying, yes, it's unmetered bandwidth, but once you get to a certain point, there's additional fees in hand. Make sure to look out for those things. That way you're not caught off guard. Cheap infrastructure. Low cost hosts often break under traffic. Very true. And usually we do see this with more of a shared environment. A lot of the low cost hosts are just putting as many clients on that server as they can, and not really having limitations in place. So say uglychristmassweaters.com signs up on November 1st and doesn't think they're going to be the coolest thing in the world in December. And then it blows up and it takes out an entire server of 500 people the month or the week before Christmas. These are just things that if you're gonna look into a hosting infrastructure and you want to make sure it's there for your clients when it really needs to be, make sure you're looking into something that's maybe not a shared environment, maybe a VPS or a dedicated, or maybe a fully managed cloud solution. And if you still need to be on a shared environment, great. Find a host that doesn't overload that server. Maybe cuts it off at 50%. That's completely, just do the due diligence, right? Weak support. If issues lead to email chains, not fixes, client notice, it's pretty much there in the writing. If you're calling in and you feel like you're getting passed around a lot, you feel like you're not getting a solution or an answer or even a direction, then you might need to look into another solution with some better support. Or do you feel heard? Do you feel like you're getting down to like the cause issue of why you're calling in? You called in because the site's broken and not working, not because there's a new security feature out there, right? We can dial down, figure out if it's a plugin, fix that plugin, and get you back on the road finding new clients. Bandwidth throttling. Do they throttle bandwidth once you hit that meter, which in return would cause poor performance? So make sure you're finding a provider that if they say it's unmetered bandwidth, it truly is unmetered bandwidth. And if we hit a point where we're just completely, the client's doing amazing constantly, maybe we should just have a conversation about putting them on something a little bit more robust. General support that leaves you stuck. Are you a part of a team that or a hosting solution where that support's going to go a little bit further out of scope for you if it's not that much trouble, or if they have the technical know-how to do so? Are you able to have a quick mean time to resolution through ticket, chat, phone? Do you have another point of contact there to help light fires for you? Just some questions to ask. All right, Chapter 6, Decision Framework. So will it scale as your clients grow? That is a very good question. Are you going to be able to find a solution? Say you have 100 clients. Are you going to be able to find a solution that's not going to have you need to migrate once you get to 150 or say to 200? Maybe in your business model or your business plan, you plan to grow by 2,000 sites this year. Is there a solution in place that's going to be able to grow with you and not force you to do a migration a couple of months or a year down the road? Can it handle traffic surges? As you gain other clients, different clients, whether it's membership, e-commerce, promotional, can it handle that traffic surge? Are you able to have those clients in one house for you, and they be able to handle that complexity of clients? Is the dashboard intuitive for your team? Once again, you never know who you're going to hire to maybe you'll grow and need help with SEO, or maybe you'll hire another developer. Is this an intuitive tool to be able to pass to those people, and that be able to learn it quickly and get right back onto getting clients, developing sites, or troubleshooting? Does support respond quickly and effectively? Yeah, ask that, test it out. Once again, see if that client's going to, or see if that support interaction is going to give you that mean time to resolution you're looking for. Our pricing's in terms clear. Here at Bluehost, we understand that your monthly margins and your profit margins are your bread and butter. Is that pricing set out to where you know that you're going to be able have to charge your clients this for 3 years, but will it be a shock after that? Is there transparent renewal rates so you can actually charge your clients accordingly? Um, can you test it before migrating? Is there a way to set up an account there, bring something over, do some benchmarking, or is it just a kind of a all at once thing? You don't want to have to just migrate everything and hope it works out. So can you test that before migrating? What you can try today, check your current host speed and support responsiveness. There's a lot of great speed testing tools out there. They might even have performance metrics on the back end. I encourage you to get your own tool. Try some benchmarking. Once again, if you're looking at other providers, see if you can get a demo account and compare them side by side. Have some test scenarios for support. Hey, we have a site down. How quickly you're able to get that site back up. Um, Test a site clone or a staging setup. Once again, with a demo account and with your current account, is it easy one-click staging? Is it easy one-click to production or cloning? Can you clone multiple sites? Definitely tools you want to test out. Identify one client site to migrate for benchmarking. Yeah, if you have a client that maybe is okay with testing out a new platform, especially if with a free account, migrate it over. You don't even have to point the DNS if you didn't want to. We provide temporary domains, and I'm sure other providers do as well. See if you can get a site over there. Test and see how it works. If you're happy, update your DNS. Set up a free demo or trial with Bluehost Agency Partner Program. Yeah, once again, with Bluehost Agency Partner Program, you get one free cloud account if it's for one WordPress site. If that site's up to date, it's or PHP 8 and above, sorry, on a fully up to date WordPress site, bring it over, test it out, and use it for benchmarking. Where to go next? You revisit your current hosting setup, identify what's helping or holding you back. If you have any questions, we're always more than happy to help. If you need help finding what questions to ask, we're there for that as well. Explore the Bluehost Agency Partner Program. And once again, I'm part of that team. So if you have questions on how that program is suited for you or the benefits you get as an agency, we would love for you to reach out and talk to you more about that. And yeah, we'd love for you to join us next time. And now, Devin, I think we have some time for Q&A here.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Chance. I really appreciate that. And appreciate you sharing your experience and your knowledge and walking us through a couple of different scenarios and the platform and how to use it the best to get the most value out of it. All immensely helpful stuff. So we do have a handful of questions that I'd love to run by you real quick. Let me just grab the first one. The first question was, can you share more details about the Bluehost agency program and how it benefits the agencies? Like what benefits should someone expect by participating with that?
Yeah, absolutely. So right out of the gate, what makes it special to be an agency, I already touched on it. It really is that priority support. And we have multiple other benefits, but knowing that no matter what channel of support you try to access, you're always going to go to the front of the line. You're going to get a higher tiered support as well. So you're getting the best and the greatest in the quickest time frame, and so we're actually able to help you when you need help, and those clients. So that should put some nerves at ease. Should an issue occur, you have someone there to support you. And to segue off that, you get somebody like myself. So you get a direct point of contact here if you're an agency. And if you ever need a quicker, I'll say it again, meantime to resolution, use the tool in your belt. You have multiple here. You have 4 ways or 3 ways to reach out to support. You have someone else here to be a voice for you. We also have some very strategic discounting models for agencies. So hypothetically, say Ford.com comes in here, or Ford, and they want to build a website, Ford.com, but they're not hiring an agency. They actually only are able to qualify for discounted pricing for 1 year on our cloud infrastructure. We understand that agencies really, depend on those margins, and healthy ones at that. So you can extend your promotional pricing for up to 3 years. So you can actually plan accordingly what you need to charge those clients for 3 years, and then have a healthy monthly margin. I'm sorry, monthly recurring revenue, and that margin's healthy, right? Um, and then you also get to be put on our directory. So if you have $1,500 worth of spend on our platform or referrals in the first year, or in that year, you can do it in the first month, and we'll put you on the directory there. And it's something we're growing right now, so it's a great time to get started and, yeah, get your name on the board there, and it helps with lead generation. Um, yeah, I mean, those are some of the top benefits of the agency partner program, along with all the bells and whistles that we're putting out. We have a huge focus on agencies right now. That's why we've come out with staging. That's why we've come out with our new cloud infrastructure. If you go to the cloud section, it goes ideal for agencies for a reason. Yeah, those are just some of the benefits of the partner program. And when you actually sign up, one of us will reach out and you could explore it further.
Awesome. Thank you for that. We've got a handful of other questions. The next one that I have is, how do I objectively compare hosting providers beyond just what their website and their marketing claims?
That's a fun one, right? So besides actually going out and getting an account, right? Hopefully that company offers a demo account, if not purchasing one and actually doing your own testing. The beautiful thing about hosting in general, but also WordPress, is the community. There is a lot of people out there that are trying, not only over the last 10 years, but trying current things that are just coming out. Hey, this new infrastructure just came out. We have a community driving that way to just go and test that and give their feedback. So whether it's actually putting your hands in there and testing it yourself, trying to get a demo account or purchasing one, or leaning on the community that's really behind this, yeah, you definitely have options.
Perfect. The next question I have here is, what are the key differences between managed WordPress hosting and shared hosting for agencies?
Night and day. So with shared hosting, yeah, if you're getting started and you need something to get started with, to have a couple of clients, absolutely, shared hosting is a great thing to start out on. But I use start out on for a reason. That is a server. We had the ugly Christmas sweater example there. It's kind of risky for brand reputation to have, say, 100 clients on something that can go down with something outside of your control. And that's the big thing, control, right? So those are also cPanel based, at least on our platform. Now, other shared servers, I'm not exactly sure on how they're managing that. So it does come a little bit more of a technical need to know, to be able to access that data, that information. So, for an agency, if you want a quicker, setup time, if you want to be able to get sites out fast, if you want 100% uptime, or auto plugin updates, auto core WordPress updates. These sound like things that maybe someone that doesn't know what they're doing needs. But what it really is, it's a tool for what people that do know what they're doing to not have to spend time on that anymore, right? And they can go and actually have meetings that aren't about updating a plugin or core WordPress, or trying to troubleshoot why the server went down when the whole time it wasn't ever anybody's fault, on your team. So now you're just focusing on, once again, what are other channels of revenue we can have? SEO, email market, or Google Workspace. Maybe you try to resell that. Just finding new paths and being able to give you the time to do that. That's fully managed hosting, and shared is the opposite of that.
Cool. The next question I have here is, are there telltale signs that a client's existing hosting is inadequate before problems start arising?
Could you repeat that? You say, is there a way to tell that a hosting is inadequate before a problem arises?
Yeah, it says, are there telltale signs that a client's existing hosting is inadequate before problems arise?
Um, how's your interaction with support? Is that interaction justifying enough for whenever you really need that support, right? This time it might only be a plugin issue. That might be a 5-minute fix. If it's more granular than that down the road and it's very WordPress specific, is that client site going to be down for a long time? Having that experience with support, if it's not great right off the bat, could be an indicator of something being bigger when you really need it down the road. If you find that your site's slow at random times, it's if especially if you're on a shared solution, or maybe you're on a VPS with 2 vCPU cores and 4 GB of RAM, and you start to notice that, hey, it gets really sluggish around this time or when I do this or that. Look at your performance metrics. If you notice these random spikes or basically bogs on your server, it's definitely time to look at a new solution. But yeah, there's ways that you can test it. I'd say look at look at your performance metrics, test out the interactions like we've already told you with support. Make sure there's no hidden things with auto renewals or unmetered bandwidth. Just ask enough questions and you'll find the answer.
Cool. Okay, the next question I have is, how do I explain the value of premium hosting to clients who want to minimize costs?
Um, that really is client by client. I would say if it's not everybody needs to be on a premium solution, right? Say it's a site that's just been sitting there for 10 years and it's outdated, couldn't even put it on a premium solution. They're running like 7.1 or something, whatever. But the real question you want to have the real conversation you want to have with clients is, what does downtime mean to you? What does a security breach mean to you? You might find out that, hey, referencing that old client, you do need a premium host because all of your money comes from one day out of the year. Everybody thinks that you're this small site that doesn't mean anything, but you make $100,000 in 24 hours, and it's literally your budget for the year. So what does that mean? Ask that client, hey, if this site goes down that day, what's your year going to look like? Are you going to even be able to afford that year, right? Um, I think just going over the certain features that come with premium hosting, like 100% uptime or advanced web application firewall or a CDN, being able to ask what means the most to that client will help you determine if they even need it, or it'll help them determine if they need it as well.
I really like two things you mentioned there, so I'm just going to echo them one more time and maybe add my own little context to it as well. I think having a candid conversation with your client to fully understand what their expectations are for their website, right? If it's just like, hey, this is a blog that I occasionally put up recipes, no one really goes to it. I don't really matter. It doesn't matter that much. Then they might be okay with the lower cost hosting, and you can save a couple bucks, and they can save a couple bucks with that. But if their expectation is like, no, this is my business, I sell and transact credit cards, and this is a driver of 60% of my entire business, then it's like, okay, well, then understanding what profile you're looking for with your website, let's take a look, as you mentioned, Chance, of what happens if your website goes down. Like what is that cost of your website going down? So then it's like, okay, if you lose a ton of money if your website goes down for a day, then it's probably worth a fraction of that money you would lose, just to make sure you're giving your site the resources it needs to make sure that it doesn't go down.
Yeah, and if I could piggyback off that, it's there's psychology. Money is a lot to a lot of people, and it's not a lot to a lot of people, and so it somebody might say, hey, I just need very basic hosting. My site's really small. It doesn't matter. But if you didn't do enough probing and matching to really vet that client, you might end up in a situation where it's the largest site on your platform or on your server just that one day out of the year.
Right.
And then they might have kind of scoffed at $1,000 solution, but you didn't ask, hey, what does it mean if you don't make that $100,000? They're
Right.
like, okay, yeah, sign me up. You're right. And sometimes it takes a pain point to have that come to the top. But go ahead, Devin.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. Okay, let's keep going on these questions. We got a few more left. What should I look for in a hosting provider support team to ensure quick resolutions? Is there any suggestions you have for auditing a support team?
um, do I have any points or pointers on auditing a support team? I wouldn't say to go and like create a scenario where your site's down or anything. I don't think that would be nice or right for them. And then make it to where they're not able to fix it. But I would just, maybe think of some situations in the past. I mean, if you've been on a certain solution for a very long time, then you've interacted with that support team, odds are, multiple times. What are some of those situations where you close your laptop and you're, pretty fed up with the situation, or maybe even satisfied? So it really just depends on, yeah, I'd say past experiences, and then go ahead and start navigating. They could have made changes over the years, but navigate the channels they have. Put in a ticket for something, set a timer. Log that time. See how long it takes to get that ticket back. Are they doing tickets over the weekends? Is this something you can only do Monday through Friday? Do you need support over that weekend? Maybe it's a holiday. So I would say, test it out. Start a chat, make a phone call about things that you can ask for. Hey, my site's slow. What do we got today? That's a very good intro to figure out what your support's going to do for you that day. And yeah, I would say just test the channels, test them all, just ask questions, and I'm sure you'll find this, find your answers there if it's meeting your expectation for time, or maybe even quality of support. Yeah.
Awesome. We have a few more questions, but before we get to that, I want to advance the slides to just a few other resources. If you want to get help from Bluehost, we always have our professional services. We also have our blog at bluehost.com/hope. We have some other webinars you can use for education on youtube.com/Bluehost. We have a support. And Chance, I'd love to give you an opportunity. If someone wants to reach out and talk with you more, do you have an email, or what's the best way for people to reach out and speak with you if they have questions?
Yeah, absolutely. We can drop it in the chat there. It's
Cool.
I'll put my email. It's chance.keltner@bluehost.com, and it is Chance with an S, so it's a little different. And yeah, I'll drop my phone number in there as well.
Okay, cool. I'll just keep this up while we go through the next couple questions. Let's see. The next one is about staging. Someone wasn't entirely sure what that was. So they said, how does that work, and why is it important for agencies managing multiple websites?
Yeah. I think if you've been in WordPress for a while, I think we all remember going to 7.4 PHP and it pretty much breaking the world. So I think that's a great timestamp. And if you're not familiar with what I'm talking about, this is why staging is important. So say you have so you have a site that's functioning, it's time to do some updates, or maybe your client wants you to add a different functionality to it. Say they're ready to go e-commerce, or maybe they want to add a gallery, or anything that's adding something or updating. So used to, you kind of had to just try it, see if it worked. If it broke, you had to go back and fix it. It resulted in downtime, upset customers, frustrated developers, you name it. So what staging does is it gives you an environment to copy your site, and then you can test those updates. Let's say it's a PHP update. We're going to 8.1. So we can test that update. We see that everything's functioning as we wanted. We can now click that staging environment to replace the live site. So it gives you another environment to play around and test things with that's not going to mess up your live site.
I think that's great. And I see more and more people that are using that just to be like, I've even seen some people use it as a client tool where the client says, "Hey, I want to try something on the website. Like, can you change this?" And instead of the agency or the web dev doing it on their live site, they say like, well, let's load this into a staging site, and let's just go through all the different changes that you think would look good, and then you can actually do it in there. And if the client says, you know what, on second thought, now that I see it, it doesn't look good, you don't have to undo all of your work. You can just say like, okay, no
Absolutely.
worries, we'll just crash this, not crash, but we'll get rid of the staging site, and the live site was unaffected. And if they do like the changes, then like you mentioned, Chance, you can just migrate it to live and you should be good to go.
Click of a button. Yep.
Click of the button, super, super easy. Okay, this next question is about upgrades. When someone asks, when should I recommend upgrading from shared to VPS or dedicated hosting?
Oh, if that customer is sensitive to downtime at all, I mean, if they mention it just a smidgen, and it's not even just for saving money for that client, say it's like an e-commerce site or something like that. There are some clients out there, if they say, I don't want downtime, and maybe it's down for an hour, then that really didn't even affect their business at all. They could come back and just really not be happy, and it would affect brand reputation. So I mean, if I hear a mentioning of downtime at all, I'm already thinking I should have my own resources, I should have my own IP address, and or if not, have a cloud solution where it's just fully managed and has 100% uptime. So the difference between shared and VPS and dedicated is shared's essentially a bunch of clients on one server. A VPS is separate portions of a dedicated server. Now those resources are only yours and no one else can touch them, but it's still part of something else. And a dedicated server is an entire server to yourself with nobody else, nobody can touch the IP, resources, or anything. Um, it is similar with VPS, but still, once again, it's segmented. Now, if your client doesn't want to be share resources, if they're scared of downtime, if they're scared of security, there is inherently more security with your own IP address. Those are just some buzzwords I would listen for. And of course, if they're maxing out the server or they're getting affected by a noisy neighbor, time to look at a VPS or a dedicated. And if it's WordPress, I'd look at cloud.
Perfectly said. I 100% agree. Okay, I think we have two more questions, and I think we can just sneak them in as far as timing goes as well. So, when it's time to migrate a client site to a new host, how can I minimize downtime? There's DNS propagation. There's a bunch of stuff that goes into it. How do I try to do that as seamlessly as possible?
Yeah, know your client. So the way our migration process works here, it's really designed to minimize downtime. So essentially, we get the login credentials to your current provider, or give us some level of access, WP admin credentials. Essentially, we'll go over there and copy from A to B. So there is absolutely zero downtime throughout that copying process. Now, when you update your DNS, that is the only time that things can get finicky. And DNSs are fun, right? So they say 24 to 72 hours of disruption. That is a crazy time frame. So we always, you want to expect the worst, but hope for the best. And so what I would do is, if I have a client or a lot of them, I would let them know, hey, I'm going to be migrating over this week. On Friday night, I know that if you know your client base, you know that weekends don't matter. I'm going to be pointing that DNS on Friday. Will be good to go on Monday morning. And then also be aware of your clients. Maybe you have some clients that are like, hey, that doesn't work for me. I'm an e-commerce shop. If you migrate on Monday, I'm going to have sold things by Friday. Just know them, because we'll just go ahead and resync that migration for you, so that you don't miss any sales, you don't miss any updates, and the only downtime associated is when you update your DNS. And don't quote me on this, but I feel like it's getting quicker. I don't think it's the 72 hours anymore.
I feel the same way. I mean, I also was in tech support a while ago, and it was always 24 to 72 hours for DNS propagation, but it seems like it's getting faster. My understanding is that it has a little bit to do with just different caching of DNS records and how long the different caching servers take to refresh and to purge their cache, right? So maybe the servers that kind of cache your DNS records, maybe you update your records right before they update theirs, and so it's a 10-minute thing. But there are some that are on a 72-hour refresh, and so it might
Mhm.
be a little bit longer. But
Yep.
yeah.
But I mean, lately, I will say I've seen it happen in an hour, and then all those clients are happy, and they can still access it an hour after we pointed. So
Yep.
it's the one gray area left in hosting, and I guarantee you we're all trying to figure it out.
Okay, last question that we're going to end on. What are some common mistakes that agencies make when they're setting up their hosting for their first time?
Not planning for future growth. I would say, hands down, if you have an agency, because I work with, like I said, all sizes. I've helped some people grow into, with their first client growing into their first 25. Others with thousands of sites. I'll see somebody that wants to get started, and sometimes they'll think too small. They'll say, okay, I'm going to start with this. They use their promotional pricing, because once again, agencies and freelancers get that promotional pricing for that 3 years. But then in a year, they need something way larger. Under expectations, or even over the exact opposite of that. Going too big too quickly and then destroying your margins. So, I would say just have a good business plan, a good business model. We're obviously the agency teams here to help talk through that stuff with you as well. But what makes the most sense? Have a 3-year plan. Have a expectation of what you want to charge your clients per month. Stick to it for a while. Have a good idea of what you want to charge per site or per page, or what type of site. Just and have a good battle plan. Get a hosting plan that matches that. and then stick to it. Once again, I think I see a lot of people just shoot from the hip. And I think a little bit more time and preparation and planning into a hosting solution is a good idea.
Awesome. Well, that brings us to the end of our webinar today. Chance, I really want to express our gratitude for having you stop by and sharing your knowledge and experience with us. I think a lot of people will find this pretty beneficial. And we dropped your email in the chat as well. So if anyone has any questions specifically for Chance, feel free to reach out to him. He'd love to talk to you about making sure you've got the right hosting platform for the projects you're working on. And otherwise, I really appreciate you stopping by, and I appreciate everyone that participated and engaged with us today. And we'll talk to you next time. Thanks, everybody.